chose my career path on the basis of money and money alone. In fact, I couldn't think of another reason why anybody would get up and go to work if it wasn't about money.
But there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're going to meet.
Throughout the times where I was younger and the stuff that we didn't have, the excuses for why we couldn't get certain things or go certain places was just simply on the basis of we don't have the money. So as I grew up, my mindset was I gotta make money. If they paying it, I'm doing it. How wrong I was. And I couldn't see it until I went through my own hardship, until I went through my own pain, my own suffering, my own lack in a sense. And I woke up. And I just felt once I woke up and I realized that money really isn't everything. It's just a minuscule thing that somebody lacks. I felt it was my duty, and I still do today. I feel it was my duty to wake somebody else up and let them be aware of just where they are and how they're living, and to make those proper adjustments to live a healthier life. But I come to find out that there's so many people who are actually already awake, like they're already woke to a lot of things. But it's strange that some people are still trapped, still stuck, still depressed, and it's simply just by one word. Let's take my coworkers for example. Let's take my former coworkers for example. There's a reason why they're still stuck in their misery. There's a reason why they're still trapped, and they die prematurely, and their health is not together. There's a reason for it all. Nothing just happens. There's a reason why their family structure is falling apart. There's a reason why correction officers, at least in the state of New York, has some of the highest divorce rates than any other law enforcement out there. There's a reason why so many of my coworkers, my former coworkers who I work for, who I work with, die suicidally. There's a reason for it all. There's even a reason that if we're lucky enough to hit that retirement age and not the retirement year as far as career-wise, working 25 years, if we actually reach that, there's a reason why statistically we only live between 3 to 5 years after retirement. There's a reason for it all. One word. One word that basically solves it all. Easy. Let me ask you a question. If I told you I'm going to pay you between 50,000 to up to about 120,000, 150,000 in that high range mark. If I told you that I can pay you that up to that amount with 6 weeks of vacation time after 1 year of working, 1 full year probation and working, and not just that, but if you can find a coworker who's willing to work your shift and their shift, which is called in corrections swapping. If you can find somebody that can do that for you, you really don't have to work the 4 or 5 days a week. You can work 3 days out the week. You can work, 2 days out the week. Whatever it is, you can work that time. If you find somebody who's faithful and actually can be into work for you with the agreement between you two, you and the other coworker, that you will also work for them on days that they need as far as extra time off. That sound good? Benefits, dental, medical, things of that nature. A lot of people don't even have that on their regular private jobs. So of course, a lot of people would take that deal. They would absolutely take me up on that. If I start them off between 40 something excuse me, starting off up until almost 150,000 a year, they would absolutely take that deal. They say, Felicia, why are you stressing over something that seems to be so sweet? It can't be that bad. Sounds great, right? But what if I told you in exchange, I'm going to take 3 things from you. Three things from you. I'm going to take that away from you. I'm going to take your time, your mind, your peace. Your mind. Because no matter what the instructions are to you, you have to follow it. No matter how degrading, no matter how disrespectful, or how dangerous, you have to follow my instruction. Because we had a contract. I'm paying you for this. It doesn't matter how stupid it sounds. It doesn't matter if it puts you in danger. You have to follow my direct order. I'm going to take your thoughts, because I'm going to make sure that when you come in and you walk into my place of business, there's no newspaper, no magazine you can have. You can't have a book. And you're going to be around the most insane criminals that you can ever actually come in contact with. Even if you guys were just talking about something light like a basketball game, you would know and see the deranged mind, the institutional mind. And you would have to suffer from that and suffer with that, because I've taken away anything that can actually free your mind from where you are now. Because I want your thought life. I want to own it. And you also will be around other people who are not criminals, but they are also institutionalized because they've been there so long, and I have stripped them of those things I'm stripping you of. So any type of dream, any type of goal that you want to have that kind of gets you out of this place of thinking and out of maybe this work environment, it's going to be dead on sight, because you can't even express happiness or joy or peace because it doesn't live here. I control that. I'm going to take your peace because I'm going to constantly nag you, and I'm going to constantly tell you what you're not doing right. Even if you do the majority of those things right, it would never be good enough for my standards. So even if it's 100% right by the book, there's something I'm going to have an opinion on to degrade you of who you are as an individual. I'm going to add work to you. I'm going to add stupid duties to you that has nothing to do with your job description. Because when you're in here, I actually own you. It would be so silly. It has nothing to do with what you were trained in. And I want you to not only do it, but I want you to document what you did so I can constantly keep tabs on you, even when I'm not there. And I'll slowly start to institutionalize you, because you'll start doing the same thing day in and day out. The same way you're supposed to think is what I tell you how to think every day. Because here's the deal. You only get the reward after 25 years. If you happen to see it. And when you get out of work, the only thing you want to do besides rest is be entertained, because you feel like you deserve it. You only want to be entertained now. Because after all the foolishness that you dealt with at work, you're not going to want to do self-mastery. You don't want to work on your craft, because I'm going to wear you down to where you only want to be entertained, and you never want to work on the most important person to work on, and that's you. And that $100,000, that's called overtime, because you're only going to start out between 46 to 50,000 starting off. And we know that, at least in New York City, $50,000 is really not enough to live on, to live a decent life. I'm not talking about apartment building living in the projects. I'm talking about if you actually want to own an asset and possibly give it to your children one day. You know that's not a lot of money, especially after taxes. So how well are you really going to be living? Because the deal was, I pay you between 50 up until 150,000, and that's all. That 150,000, 90, 80 something thousand, that's accumulated in overtime. And when you get so comfortable in the overtime that I allow you to have, just to keep up with, if you do actually manage to get a house and put down and have some type of discipline in your savings, and actually do manage to put at least something down in your house, you know, you have to now always come to me for a certain amount of money per month, because, you know, if you buy a house and the mortgage, you know, at least in the New York City area, is between $2,000 to almost $4,000, or even beyond that. So even on the minimum side, you have to live off the overtime that I allow you to have. And don't get me wrong, I can actually stop the overtime at will. Like, I can actually overcapacitate the facility so much and hire more people, where it stops and it dries out, and you have to now look for outside employment, which I also control. I also control what job you do outside and how many hours you can do. So let's say you're law enforcement. Normally that's a security job that you would normally look for on the outside, because they do pay the most, because that's where your experience is. I control if I want you to be armed or not, which pays the most for law enforcement, because you know the law. Not only that, even if I did allow you to work with your weapon, I control how many hours you put in. And I'm only going to allow you to do 20 hours a week if you do search for outside employment, because you can't really feed your family on the lack of overtime that I allow you to have, and that I can easily take away. Because like I said, the truth is, I own you. Or let's say the reverse side is what I give you. I can work you like a dog. I can make sure that even on your regular scheduled shift, that you don't go home after your regular scheduled shift, because I will make it so where you'll be working so much, because obviously other employees might not have the same discipline to come in, and you always consistently get stuck. Day in, day out, day in, day out, and I will make sure that you hardly ever, you know, go home. And when you do go home, you're just simply wiped out. All you want to do is go to sleep. That's all you want to do. And you'll realize that your family life is kind of slipping away from you. Your kids are growing up, and you're not allowed at the baseball games. You know, you don't go to their recitals because you are so busy. And you in your mind, you think you're doing the noble thing to bringing home the bacon, and you don't even realize that I am slowly tearing your family apart, because you work so much, to the point where your spouse, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, they start to feel it, and they start to feel neglected, but you don't see it yet because you're working. That's all you do is work, and at any chance you get, you go home and you go to sleep. That's all you want to do is sleep. Your sex life is not even up to par in a sense, because all you want to do is go to sleep, because you don't get it, you know, throughout the 4 days, the 5 days you do work. So, with that being said, neglect starts to happen. And when neglect starts to happen, infidelity starts. And the person that's supposed to have your back, because they're supposed to understand that you're trying to, you know, get the kids through college and do certain things, they're cheating on you now, because their needs are not being met, because in your mind, all you're thinking about is you're doing what's right for the family because you're covering them financially, and everything is being paid, and vacations is being set aside, and being paid for, and schools are being paid, uniforms and school books, and you're involved mentally in all of that, and you don't even know that I'm stripping you of your family to the point where your neglect is so prominent that when you do get home, I'll make sure that whoever you're with, you argue all the time, because all that person is telling you, who's working all the time, hey, I don't get enough, you don't get enough us time, and you're not trying to hear it because you're doing something noble in your mind. You're feeding your family. And you argue so much that sometimes you want to be at work to get away from home life, and then you go to work and you want to be home because it's so much drama there, and you don't, and it's getting so bad that you start to suspect your spouse is cheating. So while you're in my place of business, you're reflecting on what your spouse is doing, because they don't understand how you are really trying to hold everything down, and you're seeing different vibes and different move from them, and it doesn't look right. It looks like they're cheating on you, and now that's playing in your mind. But because you don't have any type of outlet to free your mind on your current situation, because I strip your wall books, I strip your wall magazines, you can't bring it in. If you bring it in, it's possible that you can either lose your job or be suspended for quite a long time, and you can't afford that. So it's driving you crazy, and you don't have any inner peace, and you're losing your family. So I'm not only stripping you of here, I'm stripping you also from the thing that you do love, which is outside. And that's only because of one word: easy. Most people, and I can only speak for the work and stuff that I did, is correction officers, and we just kind of just babysit and watch inmates, and there are times we do have to get involved physically, and we do pay for that when it comes to slashes and it comes to being in fights and getting beat up, yes, but that's not an everyday thing, at least not for the state of New York. But what I have to say to you is that people are woke. They know what's going on. Not everybody's asleep, even though they act asleep. But the reason why a lot of people stay stuck and they stay where they are and they don't try to move, because it's easy to follow somebody else's plan that's already thought out than to come up and from a blank sheet of paper, I'm talking about a blank sheet of paper, something like this, and devise a plan, a strategy to make it your own. It's easy to sit for 8 hours and all you do is eat, maybe do a round and see what's going on, or sit at a computer and type at a desk and just follow the normal practical procedures of everyday operation. It's easy, but what you don't understand is taking it away from you. It's taken away from everything that you actually value. Everything that's important is being stripped. Some people say, well, I live within my means, so I don't really do the overtime thing, and even though it's available, I don't need a second job because I live within my means. Let's analyze that, and it's not to be scary, it's to really be real. If this government has another collapse or a greater collapse that they had in 2008, the average employee is really struggling after 2 weeks, because after that 2 weeks and they haven't got a check, they're struggling, and a month goes by and they're panicking because now everything that they didn't pay off or they haven't paid off, that they've been paying month to month, that they never thought that their company or their place of work would ever be in danger of closing because stuff happens, they're out on the street. We're not maybe living like a lot of third world countries out there, but let us be without a check for at least a month, and it's going to feel like we're going to be out in the streets. Do I believe everybody is called to be a entrepreneur? Absolutely not. But everybody has something that they're supposed to be doing with purpose. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to a McDonald's or a fast food restaurant? I know you guys are just, I know a lot of people are healthy, but you ever been to just a restaurant or a place where you went to a shop to get a coffee or whatever, and you were actually at the cash register, and at the cash register was one of the nastiest people you ever came in contact with. The attitude was disgusting. They had no person skills. They had no customer service skills, no friendliness about them, and it seemed like they were miserable. And you're wondering in your mind, you're being paid to do this. Why on earth would you get up out your house and just, I don't even know if this is a word, but I'm going to use it in this setting, toxate the whole atmosphere because you are the one that's miserable, and every day we wake up, we have a choice. It's because it's easy. It's easy to follow my plan, my mind state, instead of making up your own. It's easy. And easiness is killing us. Easiness can also turn us into haters in a reality standpoint, because now we only thing that we have time to do is criticize others who are making their dreams happen, who are taking the hit right now and having delayed gratification to what it is that they know they're supposed to be doing, and one day they will surpass everybody that doubted them because they were willing to do what was hard. It's hard not to get paid for something you know you're supposed to do and you know you're good at. It's hard to actually be looked at as the crazy one because you're doing something outside of the box that's not the normal, but you know within your heart this is what you're supposed to be doing. It's hard to stand there and see someone get credit for something that you should have got credit for because you actually put in the work, knowing that there's going to come a time that it's going to be your time. It's hard to sit back because when you do what's hard, you pay the price up front. But when you do what's easy, you pay the price on the back end. It's funny because there's a passage in scripture that says the way to life I believe it didn't say the way of life. It said the way of destruction. That's how it started off. The way of destruction is wide, is broad, and many there be that go that way. Which in new language terms just simply means that the way of easy is a lot. A lot of people are going to do what's easy. A lot of people are going to do what's popular. You know, they're going to go with the trends and they're going to keep doing it just because everybody else is doing it. They're not having an identity of their own. They're just going to do it because somebody's seen it, because they've seen it and somebody else seen it, and they're just doing what seems to be the cool thing, the in thing. But the way to life, and if I was to just change that up a little bit, the way to hard is narrow. And it's only going to be a few who find it. That's very sad. Because anything that's narrow, when you have to twist and turn to get to, get inside of a place. You ever been a person or you were bigger than the space, but you can kind of squeeze in, and it's like, you're trying to squeeze in, it kind of hurts because it's pushing your body in ways that it was never pushed before, but it's hard because it kind of hurts while you're doing it. And you get through, you're like, woo, and everything's okay. That scripture is basically just predicting people who do stuff that does stuff easy. It was a time where I had double knee surgery. Both knees need to have operation on, and at that time, as a correction officer, my health insurance was covering lap band surgery, gastric bypass surgery for people who were bigger, and that's what it was meant to do. People who were actually very, very big that couldn't physically go out there and exercise, and their health was really drastic, and they needed to do something right now, right this second, or they was going to die. That's what surgery was meant for. But because everything now is just, you can get everything so easy, that they covered it. The health insurance covered it for anybody who wanted to do it. And they it's BS, because you sit there and you make up this excuse on, no, you're not suicidal, you're not depressed, and you have to play the game for them to approve it to you. So you kind of give them a little sob story on why you can't do it on your own, though they make you, I believe, lose a few pounds before the surgery is done, because they want to see if you can. And it's still kind of BS, because it's like, if you can show me, especially if you're not that big, I'm not talking about the people who really need it, but if you're not that big and you can lose 10 pounds in a month, that tells me you can lose the rest. But because it's easy, we had females coming in that would leave maybe 250 pounds, come back 130 in like 3 months. You're like, how you do that? Oh, they don't want to tell you they had the surgery, but they'll tell you something that just really doesn't add up. And with my knee surgery, I had surgery to a body part that normally you need to walk and climb steps, and that's a surgery where you would expect somebody to blow up and gain weight. I did the opposite. I did what was hard. I didn't want the doctor telling me, how long it was going to take for me to recover. I was going to work on myself. So I went and actually checked out doctors and seeing what I could do to lose weight naturally. What was I eating? And it's like the process of all of that, though it was hard, you learn, because now we both, me and some of the co-workers, came back. And because I did it naturally, even though some of the weight that I gained again, I lost it again, because I knew how to do it. And with them, they kind of had to stop, and they gained weight because they didn't know how to eat. Their discipline wasn't there, because how they got the weight loss was by one word. That's easy. Aren't you tired of being by the water cooler or by the break room, and you're talking about your frustrations on, what the job is making you guys do, and the changes that's coming, and you don't like it, and there's no time for, home life? Aren't you tired of that? Don't you want a change? And there's so many people who will sit there and waste your time and who express to you their frustration just to go back to a cubicle, to a desk, to a jail, to a prison, to whatever it is they do on a 9 to 5, and do it all over again. Because it's easier to find and be on a boat that somebody else is captain than to build your own ship. But inside, you're miserable. Inside, there's fear. Inside, you're just scared all the time, because one little slip, one little mess up, one little financial crisis can put everybody in a boat where they fear to be. And you don't have to be that way. I think in a sense, all of us are responsible for one another. All of us are responsible for each other. That means that whatever gift that I have, whatever purpose it is that I have, whatever it is that I went through, that I got over, that I basically just can teach somebody how to get over and get out of their situation, that was my responsibility to you. That's what I'm here for. So some people are here to be good nurses. Some people are here to be good doctors. But yet you find somebody working a security job or being a janitor somewhere, and they're miserable because that's not what they're supposed to be doing. We are, in a sense, responsible for each other. So I just feel like, a lot of these people that we pay that entertain us, to sing to us, to play basketball in front of us, football, baseball, whatever it is, I think we should, in a sense, once they finish doing what they're doing and being in their greatness, we should now Tell them to sit down, get a chair, and we should also be great when they need it in whatever form or fashion they need it in. So if you're supposed to be a therapist, you be a great therapist because that's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what you like to do. And people are happier and they have more passion and more drive when they're happy doing what they're doing. It's a little bit more than contentment. It's actually happy that they can take the pressure that comes with the job because that's what they were supposed to do. Don't die by easy. Don't die by contentment. Don't die because somebody is paying you and you feel that that's really the only thing to life. Find your purpose. And I'm telling you guys, you will find your freedom. If this is for you, if this is somebody that you know, like, comment, share this video, subscribe. I make these videos for one reason, and one reason only. And that's because you're worth it. I'll see you in the next video.